Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. It's pretty much cozy season, which means that Inktober is just right around the corner. And unfortunately, I kind of mapped out and timed things a little bit incorrectly. So I thought today's session was going to be the first page for Inktober, but because today is only the 30th, I am going to do an intro page instead. And I've already marked off all the days in this sketchbook with which page I'm going to do for what. But like I mentioned, because today's the 30th and not the 1st of October, I think we're going to do an intro page instead. And I'll talk a little bit more about Inktober and my plans for it and just how I did like general planning. So right now I have two colors picked out, which is kind of like this yellow color and this kind of like minty green. And I thought this color combination just looks super cute. And I thought I'll use this for the entirety of Inktober. So I did little swatches on the left-hand page on sticker paper and just like of little doodles of Masaki and like testing. So if you're interested on what colors I'm using Horizon Green and Sunflower from the Ohuhu set. And I did want to use alcohol markers this time just for a smoother application of color to make my colors look flat and just like really, I guess like not really streaky in a sense. But for today's little session, like I mentioned, I'm going to do an intro page because I mapped out the timeline a little bit incorrectly. So on the right hand side of my little swatch page, I wanted to just do like a test run to see how comfortable I will be doing more, either like a little bit of a larger piece, or if I want to kind of section it off to do more of like a doodle page for each day of October. So this year, I decided that I wasn't going to make anything too difficult for myself. So I went ahead and did a little bit of planning on making my own Inktober prompt list again, except for I made it a little bit more specific. So I'm going to do my OCs, basically Masaki, Kaisen, Moriko, Koji, Akemi, and Sato. I don't think it's in that order specifically, but I'm going to do all 6 of them and kind of alternate and section them off into groups of 6 and do themes for every like group of 6, if that makes sense. So like 1 through 6 would be like fall, autumn outfits for specific OC name. And then the next day, once we reach back to our similar rotation, maybe I'll do like fall treats, that kind of stuff. So I'm making it very simple and I'm drawing my OCs a lot just because it's a little bit less thinking. And if I need to draw them on the go, I can do that without needing to look up a reference of them specifically, because hopefully their design is more or less ingrained into my brain. So for the kind of intro page, I do want to include the word Inktober into it. Now, usually when I've done this in the past, I would actually put kind of like Inktober intro logo page as like the first day, but because I mapped it out as my OCs, I didn't really want to interrupt it. So we're going to do this as kind of like an intro page that's not a part of the rest of the other days. So I already went ahead and did a quick sketch with I think the Pilot Color Eno or just some kind of red lead that makes it a little bit easier for me to clean up a little bit later. Then I switched over to a different pen. Now, I believe in a video where I found my perfect pen and like the perfect ink that I like to use in my sketchbook for doodling and writing, I was searching around for a few other alternatives, and not specifically for the ink or like the actual pen itself per se. I wanted something a little bit thicker because I get a little bit of like hand cramping, a little bit of carpal tunneliness, I guess, in my hands when I end up writing or deft gripping my pencil or my pen. And I find I do that a lot more when I work with my pens because I want more control. I'm working with a little bit more detail that I feel like needs to be a little bit more clean and sturdy and steady. So because of that, I do death grip a little bit again. And to kind of combat that, I need a thicker pen barrel or something that could sit a little bit more ergonomically or comfortably in my hand without me needing to grip something so thin. So the thing I love is that if you bought something from Jet Pens and you know how to navigate their website, it's basically very easy to find something that might be an alternative to whatever you're using. So I went back and looked at the inks or like the little pen gel cartridges, needlepoint cartridges that I like to buy for my current pen, and I searched for other compatible parts or like compatible products. So they had this one, which is the Dr. Pilot Grip, I think. Dr. Grip Pilot, one or the other. but I've had like the pencil version of this, and I remember how comfy it was writing when I was back in like middle school, high school. So I decided to pick up this version. I bought a different version, I think, for my friend as well, which was kind of like the main purpose I was even browsing on their website, because I was kind of trying to curate a little mini care package of stationery goods for her. And I was like, I'll buy something for myself as well to just kind of include it in, which happens to be this pen. So I also ended up buying a little bit of other colors, which is one of the colors you're seeing today, which is kind of like a dark turquoise, dark teal color that I think fits quite nicely with my pre-chosen colors. So a small little tip. Oh, by the way, I'm drawing my OC Masaki. I decided to keep it a little bit, I don't know. I wanted something spooky, but I didn't know how much I could commit to it. Also, with drawing Masaki in more of a simple style, I guess I just didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. So he just kind of has like a sheet over his head, and then he's holding a lamp, and it says Inktober on the bottom. Just something really simple so that I can just see if I like the coloring method and everything together. And for the most part, I think I am going to try to stick with this particular drawing method. So kind of in like a very small tangent, whenever I do like Inktober, I do like to plan things out prior to make things a little bit easier for myself. Now, today when I'm doing the voiceover is the 29th. I believe when I drew this, it was probably the 27th, I'm assuming. I think I label it later, but I like to plan out my days in advance. I won't do the inking in advance if that's what I want to focus on. So usually Inktober is, I guess in spirit, more like a 31-day drawing challenge of some sort. But I feel like it's great if you have like a specific goal, and that goal can be as simple as I want to draw 31 days consecutively, right? Or for me, I do want to get a little bit more comfortable with inking, and hopefully I can do that alongside with trying to build up a sketchbook habit by drawing 31 days in a row. But the thing is like, I don't mind pre-sketching all of my prompts up to a certain point, and then I don't have to worry about sketching that day, because I want to focus more on inking, if anything. And me doing sketching takes up like a more chunk of my time. And even though I pretty much do draw every day, I don't want to spend all my time doing the sketching portion, feeling burnt out, and then kind of like skimping out on doing the inking portion. So if I can knock out sketching on a different day and do like maybe 6 sketches for 6 days, and then for the next 6 days I can just focus on inking, I feel like it's a little bit easier for myself to manage. And that's what I usually like to do, like from previous sessions as well. Sometimes I do end up forgetting and I catch up with my sketches, so I do have to sketch and ink in the same day, which is no problem, but it's just like whatever you want to get out of your Inktober. So other than finding a prompt list or making your own prompt list, also planning out your days, or maybe you want to give yourself a time limit if you know you're going to be strapped on time. Maybe like you only want to do an hour or something like that per doodle or per drawing, and whatever you get done in that hour is whatever you get done for that Inktober day. Some people I know are doing it digitally. Some people are focusing on like other things that might not even revolve around inking or line art or anything like that, which is perfectly fine, I'm pretty sure. But other than, yes, pre-selecting your prompts, sketching if you need to. Another thing is like, I prefer picking out the medium or color scheme or anything if you're going to do that in advance. Now, this might not be like applicable to you, but for me, I do like making sure that all of my pieces look like they belong in the same family, if that makes sense. So if one year I end up doing black and white only, I will do only black and white. I do not add any color. Or if I do black and white with a hint of red, I'll make sure that all my pieces will have that hint of red alongside being black and white. So like I mentioned, this year I want to do kind of like the color scheme that I have that you can see on the very left hand side, which is the teal-ish turquoise green, I guess it's a green, and then the kind of like golden yellow color. Not only do I think it's like a cute color scheme, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of fall because of that warm yellow, I just think it's kind of like a fun color combination that matches well with the ink that I want to use, which is the turquoise color. So I think for the most part that kind of sums up everything I like to do when I plan out my Inktober prep, I guess, or like prepping for the days for Inktober, because those are some of the things I feel like make people feel like they're a little bit stunned or paralyzed or have that fear of starting. But once you knock out a few of the things that you don't need to really think about at the moment, then it makes things a little bit easier. Just give yourself a little bit less head of a headache from having too many options open. So right now, as you can see, I'm going ahead and playing with some of the color schemes. So I went ahead and chose my Horizon Green, and I'm going over the places where I think are going to be cooler. So in terms of like color combinations, other than thinking of like certain color combinations I think look super cute together, it's usually a matter of picking a cooler color and a warmer color, and then trying to find a good balance between either I want more contrast or I want kind of them to look a little bit more harmonious. But generally speaking, I like picking a warm color and a cool color. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to delegate if I want to keep like things are very comfortable for myself. I like delegating the warmer color for skin tone or anything that's like, you know, anything in the warm family, I guess, if you have like a color scheme for your OC. So Masaki is very easy for me, like for myself to do. So for the most part, Masaki's color scheme is very much like a balance between warm and cool colors, if you could like kind of like think it and map it out in your brain. So from head to toe, we have his hair being kind of a warmer brown. Then we get to his skin tone, which is on like the pinker side. And then, or at least, I kind of fluctuated it, I guess. But his eye color, I could usually make it on a cooler color because his eyes are green. And then as we move down again, we move to his turtleneck, which is on the cooler side because it's turquoise. Then we have a good balance between chunky sweater and, or at least I'm saying good balance because I enjoy drawing him. Design-wise, I'm not sure if it's even like a good character design or good balance. I just kind of like how I planned out Masaki was very much switching between warm, cool, and then having a lot of brown and or teal or green distributed in his outfit. So once we get to the apron, it is warm again, or like that same brown as his hair. Then his pants are on the cooler side and his boots are on the warmer side, being more of a yellowy ochre, lighter brown color. So at least for me, Masaki has very clear indication whenever I pick a warm and cool color and I start to doodle him. Some characters like, let's say, Kaisen, who has a very much darker color palette, and other than his shirt color and his eye color, everything else could be like up in the air in terms of what I could delegate it to be warm or cool. And it's a little bit harder because his color scheme is also like very dark, like I said. So if I chose colors that are very similar in value, it's hard for me to pick and choose and try to think like, how does it make it look like his actual outfit without making it look too monochrome or like too flat and all that stuff. So I think Masaki's is easier for me to draw, but I'm going to try my best to draw all my OCs using this particular color scheme anyways. So I'm excited to see how they're going to turn out, alongside with just like this color scheme is very just like Masaki coded. So I do apologize to my other OCs who might struggle a little bit with looking like themselves with a color scheme that's definitely not meant for them. But I think for the most part, I can probably comfortably draw all of them in a sort of way that I think will fit with the color scheme anyways. So hopefully that works out. But do let me know in the comments if you are participating in Inktober, what your plans are, or some kind of drawing challenge within the 31 days of October. I would love to hear about it, alongside with whatever prompts you're using, because I did go back and forth with thinking like, am I going to do flower prompts or am I going to do OCs? Am I going to do fan art like I did, I think 2 or 3 years ago? I think it's 2 years ago, because I did Niji Sanji EN Livers for 1 year. Another year I did flowers. Other year I did, I think, Wonu. Oh, the Wonu one. Yeah, the Wonu one was with the flower one. And then I did 17 for 3 years, I think. Because I did like, it's just 17 prompts and it was very easy for, I guess, like to some degree. I think for the most part, I was focusing mostly on the inking. And then last year I did mostly practice with the, I forget what, the Pilot Pocket Brush Pen, I think, which I enjoyed, but it was a little bit of a hassle to keep refilling because I wanted to do a lot more like flat blacks for a lot of my pieces. So I think that's it for today's little Inktober intro inking session. I actually really like this little page. I don't hate it too much. And also I ended up doing the bleed through method where you add in a sheet of sticker paper. I cut down a bunch to be the same size as my current sketchbook so that I can use them out throughout Inktober alongside with just future pages, because I've been loving using the alcohol markers because they've been like a nice flat application like I did before. So I'll leave you guys right here for today's video, and I'll try my best to record a few days for Inktober for every Monday in October, and I'll talk to you guys next time in the next video. Bye!